In today's episode,
a car will have Matsuri energy. Someone will laugh at your haircut. And a bike will be fat. Not all flames are real. Okay, don't get me wrong. These flames are very real, but the way they are created differs from flames coming from an actual anti-lag system. These cars are equipped with flame kits, basically a coil that ignites leftover fuel in the exhaust pipes to create flames. And some people take it further than others. I am not usually a fan of non-functional modifications, but this one is really hard to resist. What do you think about it? Would you put this on your car? One of the fastest corners on the Nordschleife and lift-off oversteer, a combination that will make sure that you will need new pants. This guy lost control over the crest in his Toyota GR Yaris after he got distracted by the slower moving car in front. Luckily, the damage was only cosmetic and the barrier of the track, that you need to pay to rebuild, was also unharmed. Here is an example of why holding your brakes in a car without ABS is not always a good idea. Once your front wheels lock up, the car will not steer, so to prevent your car and yourself from having a bad day, you need to reduce the steering angle and slightly release the brake. Here is something everyone tried as a kid and thought it is impossible to pull off. Yet this guy proved us all wrong. I always thought that hitting 400 km an hour in a Bugatti Chiron is only possible on closed roads. This guy proved me wrong. He hit 417 km an hour on a public highway in Germany. Obviously, without breaking the law, since some parts on the Autobahn have no speed limit. The conditions had to be perfect, that's why the run was done early in the morning to avoid as many cars as possible. I never liked French car manufacturers, especially Citroen, since they rarely made iconic cars. And now many do boring crossovers. But they had a cool concept car in collaboration with the PlayStation game Gran Turismo. Thanks to the 5.4-liter V8, it sounds as good as it looks. A pulse jet engine is a type of jet engine that is easier to build since it requires no moving parts and can run without any air being forced into its inlet. And this is Robert Maddox, a guy that with years of experience builds all sorts of things powered by the pulse jet engine, with some of them reaching over 1,000 pounds of thrust.
Back to fire.
Here is a new car that I just have recently discovered and already fell in love with. The Lexus IS500 F Sport Performance. Probably one of the last new cars to feature a V8 engine. From here it may only be downhill. But who knows, maybe we'll get cheap synthetic fuel in the future. Anyways, it has 472 horsepower and it takes only 4.4 seconds to hit 60 miles an hour. Apparently, the speakers still play fake sound into the interior, but who cares? It is a V8. The bad news is, it's not coming to Europe. In the US, there's a street with almost invisible speed bumps. The consequences are quite sad and funny. Why? Because there are multiple signs saying that there are speed bumps, a school crossing warning, and a speed limit that a lot of drivers either ignore or just don't notice. This results in so many airborne cars that a stationary camera keeps capturing accidents for months, if not years. My Miata takes around 8 to 9 seconds to reach 100 km an hour. Meanwhile, a Suzuki Hayabusa takes 7 seconds to 200 km an hour. I have yet to experience a Formula 1 car in real life, but seeing one, especially a V8 era car, so close is an experience that some of us would remember to the rest of our lives. Okay, this may sound cliche, but you get my point. I fucking love Formula 1 cars. As I said previously, all-wheel drive cars tend to behave unpredictably when accelerating out of corners. This Subaru driver had to experience this himself.
Oh, porca madonna!
Here we go again. Guess this car by the sound. Big surprise, this is a Volvo S60. We always talk about how we swap engines into our cars, but I think there's a boundary between swapping an engine into a car and swapping a car to an engine. In this case, it is a Aston Martin 12-cylinder engine that the bike got strapped to. For some cars, it would be enough to apply throttle for just a second to win a quarter-mile drag race against a supercar, such as this 26B rotary engine Mazda Rx2 drag car. You previously heard about the Toyota TS010 about being a car with so much downforce that it broke the driver's ribs. Back then I forgot to mention how good this car sounds. On paper, the cars in a drag race I am about to show you have the same stats like actual sports cars, rear-wheel drive and a big 3-liter engine, but it's not what you think. Here is something that is almost perfectly balanced, a turbocharged Honda S2000 going against a BMW M5. This just shows how impressive the M5 is, especially considering it is a big heavy sedan. Apparently, this seemingly stock Volvo V40 is the fastest front-wheel drive car in a standing mile run. With 1005 horsepower, it reached over 339 km an hour. All I want in life is a spot to practice drifting where nobody's bothered and a legendary Japanese rear-wheel drive car. Here is a RX-7 drifting in one of the tracks of the Ebisu Matsuri circuit, which is basically the drifting paradise. This is a perfect example of how hard the Honda S2000 is to keep under control. The rear could use a bit of fatter tires.
So I can get wicked. Honey dip is dope, I think I'm gonna stick it just because I'm Robbo.
Shovels are now obsolete. Why? Because overpowered all-wheel drive cars can literally dig trenches. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want more, check out my second channel. Have a nice day.
That doesn't make sense.